This is Family Twist, a podcast about astonishing adoption stories and finding family via DNA magic. I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey, and we've been inseparable partners in life since 03, 04, 05, also known as March 4th, 2005.
In January 2018, our found family journey took us 3,000 miles from the San Francisco Bay Area to New England, where we now live near my biological father, two half-siblings, and their families. We love being near them all, and the adventure continues.
Hi, it's Corey. Thanks again for joining us. This is actually part 2 of an episode called Hiraeth Hope Healing, and I implore you to listen to part 1 first, or else you won't understand really what we're talking about. Our returning guests this episode are Erin Cosentino, Cindy McQuay, and Persico of Hiraeth Hope Healing. And when we left off the last episode, Erin was just talking about how traditional therapy really didn't work for her. It was actually the healing of being with other people in her situation that helped, the folks of Hiraeth. So let's let Erin continue.
Erin, on that note, would you mind speaking about our type of facilitators and how we've evolved with the different tool bag, your little speech?
My little spiel about that. So in my day job, I am a special educator for academically able students who are living and thriving with mental illness. So my particular program is as close to a therapeutic setting as it can possibly be. I'm their teacher. There's a full-time school psychologist. There's a full-time social worker. I provide the instruction. But in addition to that, I teach a social emotional leadership course where I'm teaching students the tools that they need. And so carrying that over into the retreat work, I've admitted several times already that I'm quite selfish. And so I wanted more than a toolkit. I literally wanted a never-ending Mary Poppins bag of tools that folks can take with them. You know, if they're driving down the road and all of a sudden they're overcome, I want them to just reach into that bag and say, gosh, Aunt Sue said BMW, breathe, move, water. Okay, well, I can't move because I'm driving a car, but I can take a sip of water and I can breathe through this. Or, not be a story stealer when they're doing something else. How to use alternate nostril breathing or tapping. Like, we've had so many different facilitators come and share so many different things. As I said, licensed clinicians, there's typically always some type of writing therapy. There's more recently play therapy, because we've learned how important it is to play.
We love
That's
that.
my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Janet Nordine, fellow adoptee, licensed clinician, has introduced us to play therapy. And I don't think there'll ever be another retreat without play therapy. So writing, play therapy, as I said, holistic healers. Like we brought somebody in once to share about the benefits of tapping. We have learned mindful movement. No one heals the same, right? So we're just going to give you all of these tools, and what resonates with you. And maybe 4 years down the road, something you thought would never resonate with you is going to resonate with you. So, yeah.
Drumming.
Oh,
don't forget drumming.
See my drum? There's my drum right there. We were introduced to energy drumming at, I think, our first or second retreat, and several people went and bought drums.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where do new attendees find out about the retreats?
On the amazing website that Cindy created, www.hiraethhopeandhealing.com.
Well, so it's people just searching on Google, like for help and healing, in this situation, and they'll stumble upon the site?
We found that most people would search either like adoptee retreats or NPE retreats or donor usually they're looking to find our website. They're generally going to be looking for a retreat. They can find our Facebook support groups, which obviously then would link them to the retreats. That would be by searching probably what you guys, DNA
DNA
surprise.
surprises, or
Yeah.
my dad is not my dad.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
How did you find us?
I'm a journalist, so I do a lot of different, and I do marketing and stuff. So I do, search engine optimization stuff. So just I search different keywords and things like that to find, people who are willing to tell their story, or I get, because of algorithms, I get a ton of articles about, adoption stories and DNA and stuff like that, just through, my Facebook feed and stuff like that, just because it's clearly I'm interested in this stuff, for the podcast. So, and yeah, it's just, I don't remember exactly how I found the site, but I definitely did find the site, and I was like, oh wow, this is right up our alley. This is perfect. I hope they're open to talking to us.
Yeah, and I think also, because I don't want to forget to say this, because it is very important, especially given that the two of you are doing this podcast together. For us personally, we get questions all the time, like, can my spouse come with me? Can my partner come with me? And the answer to that is yes and no, right? For us, it's very important to preserve those healing sessions for the adoptee, the donor conceived person, the late discovery adoptee, the NPE, because listen, my husband has been amazing through this discovery, but if he heard some of the things that happened in those rooms, he would probably be a little bit upset, a little bit hurt by some of the things that he hears. But we also recognize how important a person's partner is in their healing journey. And so we invite you to come for the fun stuff. Come for dinner, come for Cards Against Humanity, and decompress with us, in the evenings. But save that healing space for just us.
And
Yeah.
Erin, I want to add, and Annie, I keep forgetting. We recently added an option which we're calling Saturday Shenanigans, for folks who are not ready to commit to the full weekend. They can join us just for our Saturday fun, kind of feel us out, make sure we're not like a psycho group of people getting together. So they would just join us for dinner and fun. So like Erin said, with each retreat, we keep either adding or refining things as we go along, which I think is normal with any good organization.
Sure. So a few questions, just really stuff about the retreat. One, how do you determine where a retreat's going to take place? And two, how quickly do they fill up, and is there like a waiting list for folks since it's a limit of 30?
So Annie and I both work outside of the home, and Cindy works all day at her computer searching locations. Where are we going to go? Where's it going to be? And as Cindy also said, we learn things as we grow, and we are much more cognizant now of the spaces that we choose for retreat, because we are such an inclusive organization. So Cindy literally scours, I don't even know what you call them. I guess I'll plug them, Vrbo and Airbnb, right? Yeah. She searches those places to find these beautiful homes, and Cindy could give you her list of things that a home must have in order to be retreat worthy.
Our spring retreat has always been in Jersey, and will probably continue to be in Jersey. That house has been a fabulous house. It's the perfect retreat home. If we could just get that owner to build 2 more houses in different parts of the country, it'd be awesome. With Erin being a teacher, we have to do our Western trips during the summer when she can take off additional time. And then the fall one, we need to stay really having her only do like one time zone. change again because of her school schedule. We need to work around her school schedule. The houses, I just love searching for them. I'm just blown away at some of the prices, that people have these. I think, who can rent half of these like $1 million? Okay. But, as Erin said, we max it at 30. So we've got to have space, not for 30, not 30 beds. But a lot of the OGs will share king size beds together. They're comfortable enough with each other now. But we've got to keep in mind with the newbies, most of them are not going to do that yet. So these have got to be, 8+ bedrooms. Unfortunately, we are primarily women. Come on, men, we need you to join us. So we need lots of bathrooms for all these women, even though they find out after their first retreat that Cindy shows up in her yoga pants and slippers and hair in a ponytail. This is nothing about wearing your good clothes and, it's be comfortable, put your bathrobe and pajamas on. I almost always want a pool or a hot tub. We want this to be an experience, not just, a healing weekend, but a pampering weekend for you. So it has to have some sort of luxurious feel. And, I will generally find a house and then I'll have Erin look at it. And sometimes Erin will send me a house and I'm like, nah, I'm just not feeling the vibe there. It's looking to Motel 8-ish. It's like, you know it when you see it, that it just, okay, this has everything that we need. There's not a lot out there. We also have to keep it affordable for people. So I say there's not a lot out there. I should say within keeping it affordable for everybody. Sure, I can find you a house that's got all the bells and whistles, but then we'd have to charge people more than what we are now. Speaking of what we're charging people now, maybe Erin could speak about our scholarship program.
Yeah. So just to kind of finish off, there's very few places that we won't go. We'll go where people are comfortable and where people want us to. The house sells out fairly quickly. So you have the option of staying in the home with us, which most people prefer. They don't want to have to drive to their own rental or whatever. There is not a waiting list currently. That's not to say that there won't be one eventually, but currently there is not a waiting list. But the house for our upcoming retreat only has 3 beds left in the bunk room. And then we're not sold out yet for our summer retreat that is in Texas. And listen, do we hope to get to a waiting list? Absolutely. Because we want that many people to be able to heal with us. We do have a scholarship fund that we try very hard to provide a full scholarship. That doesn't often happen, but often we're able to provide a partial scholarship. So the retreat registration, I think, is an affordable investment. It's 4 nights, 5 days of healing in community for $399. Tack on your accommodations and transportation, and that gets a little bit more expensive for folks, but we are asking them to make an investment in themselves and in their healing.
Are you getting attendees from all over the country?
Yes. And Canada.
Awesome.
We are.
Yeah, and the Canada person 3 times.
Wow.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah, we have people hopping on planes. They hop on a plane to come to retreat.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you all cook together. I imagine that's an interesting process.
But see, there again, like Erin said, that's healing in itself. Annie here, the one time, well, more than once, I'm sure, but I specifically am thinking of the one time where Annie apparently has this fabulous chicken marsala recipe, which it is fabulous. But so Annie, there was and a big bar, around this open kitchen. And Annie's got 5 or 6 helpers, and those who aren't physically helping, you know, smash, that's the wrong word, the chicken. Pound, thank you. Pound the chicken and putting it in the egg and breadcrumbs.
Yeah, I had a whole sous chef line of
Right.
people.
But those that weren't physically helping are around there, and we're all just, again, chit-chatting. And that in itself is that comfort level that people you've never met, but yet you have that comfort level to actually, just shoot the breeze with them and around cooking.
I don't cook at home, so my husband gets pretty frustrated when I go to retreat and I'm cooking for all these
Yeah.
people.
Well, I will say, I mean, I had no idea whether food was involved, but I think it's so smart for it to be because I feel like that just builds community in itself. I really believe
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, so we eat all the meals together,
Mhm.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even with a couple of the breakfasts, the Jersey retreat in itself, because of the Taylor pork and what's the other?
Pork roll or Taylor ham.
Taylor
Taylor ham.
ham.
Okay. So I mushed them together. I'm not from Jersey. But so, we had somebody making, not Erin or I, but somebody had brought that and who would like a sandwich? I'm making these sandwiches. So, that was pretty cool in itself.
I mean, it just sounds like a very rewarding weekend for attendees. So it's a very very cool thing that you have put together for sure, and unique. I haven't really heard too much beyond. I mean, are there other organizations in different parts of the country that you've heard about that do these type of retreats, or is this just you guys?
So when we started, there were a couple of adoptee organizations that did retreats for just adoptees, and it was important to us that we highlight our alliances and our intersections. And so we are the first retreat of its kind to bring all three of those communities together.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Aaron, we should probably speak on the age.
The
at
span
what-
is we you have to be 21.
Okay.
You do have to be 21 to attend. We've not gotten anyone that young yet, but not much older, 24, 25. And gosh, our oldest attendee is in their 70s.
that's cool.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's certainly a possibility you might see Kendall at next year's spring event in Jersey. We're not too far from Jersey, so yeah.
No, we've got a couple people up that way that come
Oh
down.
yeah.
Yep, they drive
Mhm.
down to from New Hampshire.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Kendall that would be a really good experience for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because when I read what I've read on your website and now hearing the three of you talk about it, I feel like we started this podcast because I needed some outlet, you know, for connecting with others who had stories. Not that to Cindy's point, I grew up with other adoptees as well, and so I, you know, feel like in my past I had that, but I didn't in my present, you know, and I didn't, I've lost those connections with people, that I had from childhood who are
Mm.
probably living through similar things right now, and I don't even know it. So, this means a lot to me that it's being offered. That this is a tool that you're offering to people to heal. It's super important. And I'm always emotional about this, but it's been over 5 years for me, and it still feels fresh, uh, way more often than I thought it would. you know,
Reunion.
for me, yeah. It just
Yeah.
Corey and I were with my brother and his wife and one of their children yesterday, and sometimes I'm still, sitting there, look over, and I just can't believe I'm physically sitting here with a half brother that I'd even know about until I was
Mhm.
47 years old. It's mind-blowing sometimes. But anyway, it's all wonderful.
So are you connected to any healing spaces on Facebook?
No, I'm not.
Guest turned interviewer.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I I lie and say no. I think I exaggerate and say I blame our busy lives on not doing it, but
Mm,
that's not wise, I think, because obviously just listening to the three of you gives me just another level of hope,
mm,
and
mm-hmm,
so I know I could find value, you know. Um I just I th- for us for right now, this is our focus. You know what I mean? Like reaching out
mm-hmm,
this
mm-hmm.
way, and trust me, it's been wonderful. If you get to listen to many of the episodes we've done, we've just had the most wonderful guests. I mean, including the three of you, but I mean, just amazing guests with amazing stories, and um, that has been so therapeutic for me just to hear. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you can't connect with all of them. You don't relate directly with every single story, but many of them, it's shocking. The number of people whose stories you can at least empathize with, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we also, in addition to holding retreat, we have an adoptee Facebook group and we have an NPE Facebook group, and we host 2 open Zooms a week.
Hmm.
Just come as you are. Um, I say share whatever is happy or heavy on your heart. And we last year started a book club. So now we read adoptee, NPE, donor conceived books written by adoptees, NPEs, donor conceived folks. And we do that once a week as well. So I think that's been helpful too for folks coming to retreat to at least be able to say like, oh, I've been on Zoom with you guys for
Hmm.
a year. Like I already know you. So
We also
yeah.
have our Facebook retreat group
Mm.
that is just all about retreats, so that people can find us. If they don't find the website, they can
Mm-hmm.
search for us on Facebook.
Hmm.
Kendall,
Yes.
now guest turned therapist. I love hearing how you're saying, you know, the doing the podcast and connecting with the adoptees that way. But it's important, in my opinion, in my non-therapist opinion, you need to connect outside of the podcast.
You're right.
Those things they come and go. I mean, sure, you can listen to them repeatedly, but you need to have a human connection. Um, you know, you heard me say I grew up with an adopted brother and then 2 bios. So my brother and I, and we're not related, we had our own little language, our own adoptee language,
Hmm.
which you will find with other adoptees.
Hmm.
And you need that. As much as Erin and Annie get the adoption side of me, there's parts of me that they will never get.
Right.
So that's why it's important that you find connection outside of the podcast.
Hmm.
And I'd be more than happy to be your friend if you want.
I appreciate that because I really don't. Yeah, I don't have that at this point. It's
Yeah.
there when I think of our friend group, really, um, we have a really good friend, Kurt, who experienced adoption by being a biological child in a family who adopted another child. You know what I mean? So he has seen the opposite side of the equation,
Hmm.
but and has the sister who was adopted into his family's never been able to connect, with her biological family. So I think he could relate to parts of my story, but again, it's just different. No offense to anybody else. It's just there's just something special about speaking to someone who also was adopted.
Yeah,
Right.
to kind of, I agree to kind of expound on what Cindy's saying. It's important, I think, because my wife is so incredibly supportive, and I have my best friend is an adoptee, We've been best friends for over 45 years, and she's an adoptee. And, but it's important to be able to talk about something, not necessarily even my specific story, but to just be able to say to someone, hey, I feel like this today, like, and I don't know why, like I'm angry for no apparent reason. And my NPE family, it's like, oh man, I get it. That sucks. That happened. Just to be able to say, I feel a certain way and not have to explain what I feel because they know.
Mm-hmm.
They just inherently know why not even why, but that I feel this way today. Yep. And it might not be a reason that's evident to me. Mm-hmm. There's, it could just be a trigger that, I passed by a street that didn't really register consciously, but I passed by this thing that made me, have like a feel. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, this sucks. Mm-hmm. I got to go to the group and say, I feel away. And they just get it, to be with people that just get it. It's really important. I mean, like Erin said, I don't go to therapy either. I'm not very good at, I've been to therapy, but, I'm like, I sit there and like, well, I don't know what to say, but I don't need to say anything when I'm in the group or with other NPEs or even other adoptees. I don't need to explain myself. Mm-hmm. I could just say, I feel this way. Yeah, we know. Come over here. Let me give you a hug.
That's a very
Kendall,
that's so important, I think.
Kendall, I think the biggest example that I can give you as to what I'm trying to say is adoptees' birthdays. It's so hard to explain to a non-adoptee how our birthdays can be so triggering for us, because it's why would we celebrate the day our birth mother got rid of us? So think about it that way. The things that we and the others in our community, the NPEs and the donor conceived folks, that they specifically deal with in trying to explain that they can to each other, and like Annie was saying, they get it. But that's why it's so important that you have those specific community friendships that get it. Like, like say 3 days from now is your birthday and you're in a piss ass mood. And I can say, Kendall, I know exactly why you're in a piss ass mood. You wouldn't even have to say anything. Right. Like we would just notice. Right. So it is very important that you have those type of connections.
You're right, because the only comment I should make probably is that I do find myself explaining things constantly. When I'm talking about the way I feel about my biological family, I feel like I probably explain a lot.
There's a word for that. That's called adoption-splaining.
Yeah. And it's trying to build empathy on the other side of the table. That's what I'm doing, because my fear is that people will think that I'm just being particularly judgmental toward my biological family, when maybe that's valid, but maybe it's not. And so I think I find myself doing that. But I'm also an HR person, so I feel like I'm always that diplomatic, person who feels the need to balance every conversation. And sometimes it doesn't need to happen. Sometimes I need a Cindy in my life that I can just say, you know what, this sucks, and here's why.
Everybody needs a Cindy in their life.
Cool. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Cool.
Well, I'm definitely the nudger in the relationship. I'll have to continue to nudge him along, and certain ways. But I think the three of you have done a really good job of opening Kendall's eyes to connecting with other folks that are similar situations, and there's definitely room for healing there. Absolutely. I mean, it's there's mixed emotions that we talk about on a weekly basis, if not almost daily.
Well, and it's to me, it's a lifetime of learning and healing. I mean, I can think of numerous adoptees who, at retreats, always go, oh my God, I never even realized my stomach issues have been because of blah, blah, blah. So
Yeah.
It's just an ongoing, forever learning thing.
Well, and hopefully other adoptees who will listen to this can really find, some value in that concept, like find your community, that's what you need. We all do, right?
Well, and not to leave the NPEs out here, but you go with your gut feeling, like you guys who your whole life didn't like, what's wrong with this picture? Like something seemed off to you, and yet you were 100% correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wonderful. Well, Cindy, Erin, Annie, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some background on the retreats. They sound really remarkable. So, and I'm going to keep nudging Kendall until he signs up for one.
He acts like I
Listen,
never
get that
listened.
vacation time in. There's one in 2 months.
See, there you go. He acts as if I never listened. I listen to him constantly. He and Annie made great comments about how supportive her wife is, and I feel like I absolutely have to remind every listener out there that I wouldn't be where I am today without Corey. I wouldn't. I had all but given up my search when I turned 40, which was 100 years ago, and I didn't think it was going to happen. Granted, that was sort of, we weren't talking about DNA back then much, and that felt like a pie in the sky, like, oh, that'll never happen. And but if it weren't for him, yeah. So I always joke about being emotional all the time, and here's more proof, listeners. I'm just built that way, but I love him dearly, and he's been an amazing rock for me.
I just want to add one last plug for us. We love to help people unravel their DNA results.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is a growing need for that. I mean, as I'm in a lot of these groups, just reading people's stories, and we saw some statistics a week or so ago that was like, wow, I can't believe that many people are doing DNA tests. So it's and a lot of people are in for some big shocks. So there's definitely a need for what we're all doing, to try and and share people's stories and hopefully people have been able to heal a little bit, just by, listening to these episodes. But I definitely sense a follow-up episode after Kendall attends his first retreat.
That was not a planned, that was, we did not discuss this as a lead-in or anything.
Corey, just sign him up. Just sign him up and pack his bags.
That's absolutely what will happen, and that's fine. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it does make sense. And I think even if you all have, retreat guests who ever want to, tell their stories, you can connect them with us. And obviously there's privacy and confidentiality and comfortability and all those factors, but that's with anybody, really.
If we put a post, I'm telling you, if we put a post right now in the retreat group, you would be booked for
the rest of the year.
The fourth,
wow.
You'd probably be going into next season.
Wow.
Because
and Erin's not kidding. And honestly, you'd be hit with all the trio of the community.
Yeah.
I mean, I can think of one donor conceived person who would be on the bandwagon in a nanosecond.
Oh, wow.
We're going to try it. We're going to post. We're going to post it in the group.
Wonderful.
Do you have a space? I don't remember a space on your registration thing where it says, how'd you hear about us?
There is a, I think it's, do you have something about having a good story or know somebody with a good story? But yeah.
But I can put that as like, how did you find us? Yeah.
I'd be curious. Yeah. I'd be curious.
For sure.
You guys, this has been amazing.
I know. Thank you so much.
This was great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Family Twist features original music from Cosmic Afterthoughts and is presented by Savoir Faire Marketing Communications.